Introduction. In a quaint and picturesque village nestled between rolling hills and a meandering river, there lived a young man named Ethan. Willowbrook, as the village was known, was a place where time seemed to slow down, where the values of kindness and honesty were cherished above all else. It was in this idyllic setting that our story unfolds, a tale not of fantastical creatures or imaginary worlds, but of the very essence of humanity itself. Ethan was a young man of remarkable character, whose reputation for integrity and compassion had spread far beyond the borders of Willowbrook. He was the embodiment of the village's core values, and his wisdom was often sought by those who faced difficult decisions or sought guidance through life's intricate maze. But it was not just Ethan's character that set him apart, it was also the promise he made to an elderly man named Mr. Patterson, a promise that would come to shape his destiny and the destiny of Willowbrook. You see, Mr. Patterson was not just any elderly villager. He was a man of profound wisdom and experience, a repository of stories and knowledge that had the power to transform lives. One sunny morning, on a cobblestone path that wound through the heart of the village, Ethan's life took a significant turn. He encountered Mr. Patterson, a frail figure struggling under the weight of a heavy load of firewood. Without hesitation, Ethan rushed to his aid, lifting the burden from the old man's shoulders. This simple act of kindness would set in motion a chain of events that would test Ethan's character, and ultimately redefine the very essence of what it meant to be a villager of Willowbrook. As Ethan helped Mr. Patterson carry the firewood to his humble cottage, little did he know that this encounter would mark the beginning of a remarkable journey. One that would challenge his understanding of promises, patience, and the true nature of treasure. It was within the walls of Mr. Patterson's cottage that Ethan would find himself making a secret promise, a promise that would lead him to discover a treasure unlike any he had ever imagined. Over the course of 6 chapters, we will follow Ethan's journey, a journey that explores the intricacies of human character, the value of patience, and the transformative power of wisdom. This is not a tale of fiction, nor does it involve mythical creatures or magical realms. Instead, it is a story deeply rooted in reality, a story that resonates with the universal principles of honesty, kindness, and the enduring impact of a promise kept. Join us on this captivating journey through the streets of Willowbrook, where the lessons learned by Ethan and the villagers will serve as a testament to the enduring importance of values, integrity, and the treasure of knowledge. It is a story that reminds us that sometimes, the most profound stories are the ones that unfold in the quiet corners of our own lives, where the greatest treasures are found in the depths of our hearts and the wisdom of those who have walked the path before us.
Chapter 1. The Broken Promise. In Willowbrook, the sun cast a warm golden hue over the cobblestone streets as Ethan continued his journey to the village square, where the villagers often gathered to exchange news and laughter. His reputation as a young man of exceptional kindness and honesty had earned him the admiration and respect of all who knew him. On this particular morning, the routine of his daily life was about to take a remarkable turn. As Ethan strolled down the familiar path, he noticed an elderly man struggling to carry a heavy load of firewood. The old man's wrinkled face was etched with lines that spoke of a life well lived but filled with challenges. Without a moment's hesitation, Ethan approached the struggling figure and offered his assistance. With a grateful smile, the old man introduced himself as Mr. Patterson. His eyes twinkled with a mix of gratitude and curiosity as he examined the young man who had come to his aid. "Thank you, young man," Mr. Patterson said, his voice tremulous with age. "You have shown me kindness that warms my heart." "My name is Mr. Patterson, and you are?" "Ethan, sir," he replied with a friendly nod. "It's a pleasure to help. May I accompany you to your home to ensure you're safe?" Mr. Patterson accepted Ethan's offer, and as they walked together towards the old man's cottage, a sense of camaraderie blossomed between them. It was during this short journey that Ethan came to learn that Mr. Patterson was known throughout the village for his wisdom and had been an influential figure in Willowbrook for many years. Upon reaching Mr. Patterson's quaint cottage, the elderly man insisted that Ethan join him for a cup of tea. As they sat by the crackling fireplace, sipping the warm brew, a deep conversation unfolded. Mr. Patterson shared stories of his youth, his travels, and the lessons he had learned along the way. Ethan was captivated by the old man's tales, which painted a vivid picture of a world beyond the village he had always known. He listened with rapt attention, absorbing not only the adventures but also the wisdom embedded within each narrative. As the hours passed and the sun dipped below the horizon, the room was enveloped in a cozy, warm embrace. It was then that Mr. Patterson leaned in closer to Ethan, his eyes filled with a sense of urgency and purpose. "I have a secret, young Ethan," he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. "A treasure that I've kept hidden away for many years. I'm growing old and can no longer care for it, but I can think of no one better to entrust it to than you." Ethan's curiosity was piqued, and his heart raced with anticipation. "What kind of treasure is it, Mr. Patterson?" The old man's gaze fixed on Ethan's earnest eyes. "It's not gold or jewels, my boy. It's something far more valuable, a treasure of knowledge, wisdom, and life lessons. But I will share it with you on one condition, Ethan." Ethan leaned in, eager to hear the condition that would bind their fates together. "Name it, sir, and I will do my best to fulfill it." With a solemn expression, Mr. Patterson replied, "You must promise me, young Ethan, that you will keep this treasure safe and use it wisely. It is not to be squandered or forgotten but shared with those who need it most." Ethan hesitated for only a moment, his heart filled with a sense of responsibility and honor. "I promise, Mr. Patterson, on my word of honor, that I will keep this treasure safe and share its wisdom with others." And with that promise, made in the flickering glow of the fireplace, the destiny of young Ethan and the village of Willowbrook was forever altered. Little did Ethan know that this commitment would set in motion a series of events that would challenge his character, test his patience, and lead him to a profound understanding of the true nature of treasures and promises.
Chapter 2: A Secret Promise. In the days that followed Ethan's promise to Mr. Patterson, the weight of that commitment began to settle upon his shoulders. The secret promise hung over him like a shroud, both mysterious and burdensome. Ethan had always been a young man of his word, and he knew that a promise, especially one made to an elder like Mr. Patterson, was a bond not to be taken lightly. As the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, Ethan found himself immersed in a dilemma. He desperately wanted to honor his promise to Mr. Patterson, but the lack of clarity about the nature of the treasure gnawed at him.
It was as if he had been handed a locked chest with no key and no instructions. Ethan's daily life began to be affected. He couldn't concentrate on his work in the fields, and even his interactions with the villagers seemed distant and distracted. Friends and neighbors noticed the change in him and grew concerned. One evening, unable to bear the weight of his secret promise any longer, Ethan sought the counsel of his closest friend, Lily. They sat under the shade of a towering oak tree, its leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. "Lily," Ethan began tentatively, "I need to talk to you about something. It's about a promise I made to Mr. Patterson." Lily, perceptive as ever, looked into Ethan's eyes and sensed his inner turmoil. "Of course, Ethan," she replied, her voice filled with empathy. "You know you can tell me anything." Ethan hesitated for a moment, searching for the right words. "Mr. Patterson entrusted me with a secret treasure, Lily. He asked me to keep it safe and use it wisely. But he didn't tell me what it is, and it's been weighing on my mind ever since." Lily listened carefully, her expression thoughtful. She knew how important promises were in Willowbrook and how Ethan had always been true to his word. After a thoughtful pause, Lily offered her advice. "Ethan, I understand your dilemma, but you made a promise, and promises are meant to be kept. Mr. Patterson is a wise man, and he must have his reasons for not revealing the nature of the treasure just yet. Perhaps it's a test of your patience and character." Ethan considered Lily's words carefully. She had a way of seeing things from a different perspective, and her wisdom had often guided him in the past. He nodded slowly, a sense of resolve building within him. "You're right, Lily," Ethan said with determination. "I made a promise, and I will keep it, no matter how challenging it may be. I'll continue to be patient and wait for the right time." With his friend's support and advice, Ethan found renewed strength to carry the weight of the secret promise. He returned to his daily tasks with a newfound focus and determination. Each day, as he worked in the fields or helped a neighbor, he reminded himself that he had given his word, and he would honor it with unwavering commitment. Little did Ethan know that his patience and dedication would soon be put to the test, leading him deeper into the heart of Mr. Patterson's secret and the profound lessons it held. The journey was just beginning, and Ethan's character would be forged in the crucible of his promise.
Chapter 3: The Burden of Knowledge. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Ethan's commitment to keeping Mr. Patterson's secret promise weighed increasingly heavy on his young shoulders. His unwavering determination to honor his word had not wavered, but the uncertainty of the treasure's nature continued to gnaw at him. Ethan had always been known for his bright smile and cheerful demeanor, but now, even his friends noticed a change in him. He seemed preoccupied and lost in thought, often unable to fully engage in the laughter and camaraderie of the village gatherings. The villagers whispered among themselves, speculating about the source of Ethan's inner turmoil. One particularly warm afternoon, while Ethan was helping his neighbor, Mrs. Whitman, tend to her garden, she couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. "Ethan," Mrs. Whitman began gently, "you've been acting differently lately. Is something troubling you, dear?" Ethan paused in his gardening and looked up at the kind-hearted Mrs. Whitman, her silver hair shimmering in the sunlight. He sighed and decided it was time to confide in someone else about his secret. "Mrs. Whitman, it's the promise I made to Mr. Patterson," he confessed, his voice tinged with frustration. "I promised to keep a treasure safe and use it wisely, but he never told me what that treasure is. It's been eating away at me, and I don't know how much longer I can bear it." Mrs. Whitman nodded understandingly, her eyes filled with compassion. She had known Ethan since he was a child and had always admired his unwavering commitment to doing what was right. "I can only imagine how difficult this must be for you, Ethan," she said. "But remember that a promise is a sacred bond, and Mr. Patterson trusted you with this secret for a reason. Perhaps he wants you to learn something valuable through this experience." Ethan pondered Mrs. Whitman's words as he continued to work in the garden. He realized that she was right. A promise was not just a casual agreement, but a reflection of one's character and integrity. He couldn't let impatience and frustration tarnish his reputation as an honest and dependable young man. That evening, Ethan decided to visit Mr. Patterson's cottage once more, seeking solace and perhaps a hint of guidance. As he entered the cozy, dimly lit cottage, he found the old man sitting in his favorite armchair by the fireplace, a warm smile on his weathered face. "Ah, Ethan, my dear boy," Mr. Patterson greeted him warmly. "I sensed you might come to visit. Sit, and let us talk." Ethan settled into a chair opposite Mr. Patterson and took a deep breath. "Mr. Patterson, I've been struggling with the promise I made to you. I want to keep it, but not knowing what the treasure is has been a heavy burden." Mr. Patterson chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Patience, my boy, is a virtue," he said. "The treasure will reveal itself when the time is right. It is not merely about the destination, but the journey you undertake to reach it. Sometimes, the most valuable lessons are learned through the process of waiting." Ethan nodded thoughtfully, absorbing Mr. Patterson's words. It was a lesson in patience he needed to hear, a reminder that the journey of keeping a promise was just as important as the promise itself. With renewed determination, Ethan left Mr. Patterson's cottage that evening, carrying with him not just the weight of the promise but also a deeper understanding of the virtues of patience and the enduring power of a commitment kept. The burden of knowledge still rested upon him, but he was prepared to carry it with grace and fortitude as he continued on his journey to unlock the secret treasure that lay ahead.
Chapter 4: A Lesson in Patience. As the seasons shifted and the village of Willowbrook transitioned from the vibrant colors of summer to the golden hues of autumn, Ethan's life continued its steady rhythm. His dedication to keeping the promise he had made to Mr. Patterson had not wavered, and the burden of not knowing the nature of the treasure remained a constant presence in his thoughts. In the village, life continued much as it always had. Farmers tended to their fields, craftsmen honed their skills, and children played in the meadows. Yet, for Ethan, there was an underlying sense of anticipation, a quiet longing to uncover the secret treasure and fulfill his promise to the elderly sage. Ethan's closest friends noticed the change in him once more. Lily, in particular, had observed his evolving journey and the lessons he had learned along the way. One evening, as they sat by the river's edge, Their reflections rippling on the water's surface, Lily broached the subject that weighed on both their minds. "Ethan," Lily began, her voice gentle, "you've shown remarkable patience in keeping your promise to Mr. Patterson. But I can see that the burden of not knowing the treasure's nature still troubles you." Ethan sighed, knowing that Lily was right. "It's true, Lily. I've tried my best to be patient, but it's been challenging. I wonder why Mr. Patterson entrusted me with this secret if he didn't intend to reveal it." Lily considered her response carefully. "Ethan, perhaps Mr. Patterson's intention was not just about the treasure itself, but about the qualities he saw in you, your honesty, kindness, and willingness to keep your word. He might have wanted to impart a deeper lesson, one that goes beyond the material." Ethan nodded thoughtfully, absorbing Lily's words. It was true that his journey had already been filled with valuable lessons in integrity, patience, and the enduring power of promises. Perhaps, as Lily suggested, the treasure was not merely an object, but a means to an end. With these insights in mind, Ethan decided to visit Mr. Patterson once more. He had come to see these visits not as opportunities to uncover the treasure, but as moments of connection with a wise elder, who had become a mentor and friend. As Ethan entered the cozy cottage, he found Mr. Patterson sitting in his usual chair by the fireplace, a twinkle in his eyes. "Ah, Ethan," the old man greeted him warmly, "you return once more, seeking answers." Ethan nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Yes, Mr. Patterson. I've been learning about patience and the value of keeping one's word. But I can't help wondering, why entrust me with this secret if you don't intend to reveal it?" Mr. Patterson leaned forward, his expression serious yet filled with kindness. "Ethan, my boy, I've seen your character evolve through this journey, and I am proud of the young man you've become. The treasure I spoke of is not merely a physical object, but a collection of knowledge, wisdom, and life lessons. It is a treasure that you are already beginning to uncover through your experiences." Ethan's eyes widened with understanding. The treasure was not a single, tangible item, but a reservoir of wisdom that he had been gaining through his encounters, his patience, and his commitment to keeping his word. "Remember, Ethan," Mr. Patterson continued, "true treasures are often found within, and the journey to uncover them is a lesson in itself. Your patience and dedication have been a testament to your character, and the knowledge you gain through this process will shape you in ways you cannot yet imagine." Ethan left Mr. Patterson's cottage that evening with a newfound perspective. He understood that the true treasure was not about material wealth or possessions, but about the lessons, values, and wisdom he had acquired along the way. As he continued his journey through the seasons of life, he embraced the lesson in patience, knowing that some of the most valuable rewards come to those who wait, learn, and grow. In the heart of Willowbrook, the villagers observed Ethan's transformation, and they too began to realize the profound lessons embedded in the simple act of keeping a promise. The village was about to embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth, all because of the enduring power of patience and the wisdom of an old man named Mr. Patterson.
Chapter 5: The Unexpected Reward. As the days turned into months and the seasons cycled through, the village of Willowbrook continued to thrive, bathed in the gentle glow of its core values: kindness, honesty, and community. Ethan, the young man entrusted with the secret promise by Mr. Patterson, had grown both in stature and character. His dedication to keeping his word and his patience in the face of uncertainty had become a source of inspiration for the villagers. In this chapter of our tale, we find Ethan on the cusp of a new discovery, one that would bring him closer to unraveling the mystery of Mr. Patterson's secret treasure. As he went about his daily tasks, his thoughts often turned to the promise he had made and the wisdom he had gained from Mr. Patterson's teachings. One bright morning, while helping a neighbor, Mr. Thompson, repair the roof of his cottage, Ethan made an unexpected discovery. As he reached into the attic to fetch a tool, his fingers brushed against a loose floorboard. Curiosity piqued, he carefully pried the floorboard aside, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. Inside the compartment lay a collection of old journals, manuscripts, and books. Dusty and weathered from years of concealment, these treasures had been tucked away in the attic, unbeknownst to Mr. Thompson. Ethan's heart raced as he examined the contents. The journals were filled with the elegant script of Mr. Patterson, detailing his reflections, experiences, and the wisdom he had gathered over a lifetime. It was as if a portal to the elderly sage's soul had been opened, allowing Ethan to glimpse the depths of his mentor's knowledge. With great care, Ethan carried the journals back to his home. He realized that this collection of writings was the treasure Mr. Patterson had entrusted to him, the repository of knowledge, wisdom, and life lessons that would shape his character and guide him on his journey. As he delved into the pages of the journals, Ethan was transported into Mr. Patterson's world, a world filled with stories of adventure, love, hardship, and growth. Each page held a new revelation, a piece of wisdom that resonated with the values of Willowbrook and the lessons he had been learning. Ethan also discovered manuscripts and essays on various subjects, ethics, philosophy, and the art of living a meaningful life. He realized that these writings were a testament to the depth of Mr. Patterson's wisdom and the legacy he wished to pass on to future generations. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ethan knew he had found the true treasure, not gold or jewels, but the priceless gift of knowledge and wisdom. He couldn't wait to share this newfound wealth with the villagers who had become his extended family. In the days that followed, Ethan decided to hold weekly gatherings in the village square, where he would read aloud from Mr. Patterson's journals and manuscripts. The villagers, drawn by the promise of learning from their beloved sage, eagerly attended these gatherings. It wasn't long before the village of Willowbrook transformed into a place of enlightenment and personal growth, a place where the pursuit of wisdom became a collective endeavor. Ethan's character continued to evolve, as did the characters of the villagers who attended the gatherings. The lessons they learned from Mr. Patterson's writings were not just academic but practical, guiding them in their daily lives. Kindness and honesty became even more deeply ingrained in their hearts, and the values of Willowbrook flourished. As the pages of the journals turned, Ethan understood that the treasure he had been entrusted with was not just a personal gift from Mr. Patterson but a legacy meant to be shared with others. The unexpected reward of wisdom had illuminated his path, and he, in turn, had illuminated the path of the entire village. In Chapter 6, we will witness the culmination of this transformative journey as Ethan continues to share the wisdom he has gained, and the villagers of Willowbrook come to understand that true treasures are not found in possessions but in the lessons that shape their character and guide them on the path of kindness and honesty.
Chapter 6: Sharing Wisdom. The sun cast a warm, golden glow over the village square as the villagers of Willowbrook gathered for another of Ethan's weekly gatherings. The anticipation was palpable, for these gatherings had become the highlight of their week. Ethan, now a young man of wisdom and grace, stood before them, ready to share the knowledge he had gained from Mr. Patterson's journals and manuscripts. The villagers, young and old alike, sat in rapt attention, eager to absorb the wisdom that had transformed their community. Ethan opened one of the journals, its pages aged and weathered but filled with timeless insights. As he began to read, the words flowed like a gentle river, carrying with them the accumulated knowledge and experiences of Mr. Patterson. "Dear friends," Ethan began, his voice steady and clear, "today, I share with you the wisdom of a man whose legacy lives on in each of us. Mr. Patterson taught me that true treasures are not measured in material wealth, but in the lessons we learn and the values we hold dear." The gathered villagers listened intently as Ethan read passages that spoke of kindness, honesty, and the importance of community. They learned about empathy, resilience, and the significance of embracing life's challenges as opportunities for growth. Week after week, the gatherings continued, each one delving deeper into the well of knowledge Mr. Patterson had left behind. The villagers came to understand that the true treasure was not just in the words on the pages but in the transformation that occurred within themselves. Ethan encouraged open discussions, allowing the villagers to share their own experiences and insights. As a result, the gatherings became a place of communal learning, where the collective wisdom of the village began to flourish. With each passing week, the values of Willowbrook were reinforced, and the bonds between the villagers grew stronger. Acts of kindness became more frequent, and honesty became the cornerstone of their interactions. The village was not only a place to live, but a community that nurtured the well-being of its members. One day, during a particularly enlightening gathering, Lily spoke up, her voice filled with gratitude. "Ethan, what you've shared with us has transformed not only our lives, but the very essence of our village. Through the wisdom of Mr. Patterson, we have come to understand that true treasures are the values we uphold and the connections we foster." The villagers nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting the profound impact of the shared wisdom. Ethan, humbled by their words, knew that he had fulfilled his promise to Mr. Patterson in the most meaningful way possible, by passing on the legacy of knowledge and values to others. As the seasons continued to change, the village of Willowbrook remained a beacon of kindness, honesty, and wisdom. The lessons learned through the journals and manuscripts were not forgotten but lived out in the actions and hearts of the villagers. And so, the story of Ethan, Mr. Patterson, and the village of Willowbrook became a timeless tale, reminding everyone that true treasure lies not in possessions but in the knowledge we gain, the promises we keep, and the wisdom we share. In the end, it is the values we hold and the connections we forge that define the richness of our lives.
And so, the story of Ethan and Mr. Patterson became a timeless tale in Willowbrook, etching its lessons into the very fabric of the village's existence. The impact of their journey reached far beyond the boundaries of the village, resonating with people from distant places who heard of the transformation that had taken place in Willowbrook. Travelers passing through the village often stopped to listen to the wisdom shared during Ethan's gatherings. they marveled at the sense of community and the values that radiated from Willowbrook's inhabitants. Some chose to stay and become a part of this remarkable village, drawn by the allure of a place where kindness and honesty were not just words, but a way of life. Word of Willowbrook's transformation spread to neighboring villages and towns, inspiring others to prioritize values over material gain and to recognize the profound impact of keeping promises. As more communities embraced these ideals, a ripple effect of positive change began to sweep across the region. Ethan, once a humble young man known only to his fellow villagers, found himself sharing the wisdom he had gained not only with those in Willowbrook, but with people from all walks of life. He became a sought-after speaker, traveling to nearby villages and towns to share the lessons he had learned from Mr. Patterson's journals and manuscripts. The legacy of Mr. Patterson lived on through Ethan and the countless lives he touched. Mr. Patterson's teachings, wisdom, and the values he had championed became a beacon of light for all who sought a better way of living. Back in Willowbrook, the village thrived not only in its values but in the sense of purpose and community that had emerged. It was a place where people genuinely cared for one another, where honesty was the currency of trust, and where kindness was the foundation of every interaction. The village square, once a gathering place for news and laughter, had become a space where the wisdom of generations was passed down, where promises were made and kept, and where the true treasures of life were celebrated. Willowbrook had become a living testament to the enduring power of knowledge, promises, and the values that define our humanity. As the years passed, the village of Willowbrook continued to flourish, and its story became legend. It served as a reminder to all who heard it that true treasure lay not in the accumulation of possessions, but in the knowledge we gain, the promises we keep, and the values we uphold. And so, in the heart of Willowbrook and in the hearts of all who embraced its lessons, the story of Ethan and Mr. Patterson lived on as a timeless reminder that the most profound treasures are not found in gold or jewels, but in the very essence of our character and the promises we hold dear.